We're standing in a location north of Damascus city known as Mukhayyam al-Wafidin. It is the crossing point where the humanitarian corridor that the Syrian army established with Eastern Ghouta ends. From this road behind me, civilians are supposed to be leaving Eastern Ghouta and crossing into areas under the control of the Syrian government. These humanitarian corridors were proposed by the Russians and have been in place since Tuesday. In the first 2 days, no civilians have made the trip from rebel areas into government-controlled areas. The Syrian government accuses the rebels of preventing the civilians from leaving, and they are saying that the rebels are using civilians as human shields, while rebels, on the other hand, say that this should be handled in a completely different way. They are saying that the United Nations Security Council Resolution 2401 that stated a ceasefire said nothing about the forced evacuation of civilians out of their houses. The rebels say that they want civilians to stay in their houses without the fear of being bombed. But for the first 2 days of these pauses in the fighting, no civilians have made the trip. Every day the fighting stops from 9 a.m. in the morning till 2 p.m. local timing. But as you can hear, sounds of distant shelling and exchange of gunfire can be heard. Syrian army officers tell CGTN that they are just responding to attacks by the rebels in these periods. But outside these periods, before 1 a.m. in the morning and after 2 p.m. in the afternoon, they launched their large ground offensive to take Eastern Ghouta. Eastern Ghouta is one of the closest rebel-held areas to the Syrian capital Damascus, and since 2012 it has been under the control of the rebels, and its proximity to the capital allowed the rebels to mount some of their deadliest attacks on Damascus in the past 6 years. The Syrian army seems determined to take Eastern Ghouta. As a result, it's launching a massive operation for the past 8 days, and they have started to report minor gains, but they are saying that in upcoming days they will make more and more gains against rebels in Eastern Ghouta. At this point, it's unclear how the battle will play out and whether the Syrian army will be really able to take Eastern Ghouta, bearing in mind that the United Nations is saying that since the Syrian army started its campaign, over 500 civilians have been killed out of nearly 400,000 civilians living in Eastern Ghouta. Alaa Ebrahim, CGTN, Damascus.